Yo, what up, a-holes? Thank you for tuning into the Holistic A-Hole podcast. My name is Erik Levi, and I'm the Holistic A-Hole, the mommy blogger with balls, the inconvenient truth of health, and a certified holistic nutritional therapy practitioner. Wow. What's up, everybody? How you doing? Hope you're doing great out there in A-Hole land. Hope you're having a great week or weekend or whatever day of the week you're listening to this on, assuming you are listening to this. Goddamn, am I good or what? It's good to be back with you guys to talk about, just some light topics, like the failure of the healthcare system. No big deal. Well, we're going to get into a lot of just shenanigans and things that I'm thinking about here as I keep just getting inundated with, just the same stupid liberal talking points of free healthcare, and Sweden has free healthcare, Canada has free healthcare. How come we don't have free healthcare? And just why that is such an insane idea. I'm going to get into all this and kind of talk about some things I've been reading and coming across lately that have, just kind of added more fuel to that fire. But before I do, I first want to just give a shout out here and say, yo, if you haven't done this already, subscribe to the podcast. Just hit the subscribe button. It's so easy to do. Like any podcast platform you have, they could not have made it easier for you to do this. Just go into your phone, hit the subscribe button if you're not already subscribed. It's literally right there in the podcast player that you're playing it on. And if you're subscribed already, well, great. Well, here's something I'm going to ask you to do. Go on over to iTunes, leave a 5-star review for the podcast. You can do it right in your phone. You can get on your laptop and do it. If you're like sitting there at work and you're like, God damn, I'm going to go to Facebook for the 20th time in the last hour, just don't do that. Go to iTunes and leave the Holistic A-Hole a 5-star review. It's like the easiest thing to do. And make sure you share the podcast on whatever your social media preferred platform is, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. You know what I love what people do is I love it when people put little, screenshot the podcast playing in their phone and then they put it in their Instagram story and tag me, the Holistic A-Hole. And just not only are you showing me love, but you're showing your friends like, yo, I'm smarter than you when it comes to these discussions. I'm not listening to NPR. I'm not getting my healthcare news from Jake Tapper or Rachel Maddow, Mad Cow, or any of these boneheads that literally know nothing about health. Yet somehow they're the moral voice of authority on healthcare policy in this country. God damn, I'm going to tell you why that's so stupid right now. Because we're going to talk about healthcare policy. And look, I know some of you a-holes out there, you're in the family scene, right? I'm just throwing out this little forewarning that I curse a lot. And let me tell you something, man. This is big boy talk. Okay, I'm sorry that like every other health podcast on the old internet radio dial, like they're very kind and they're very like they're frustrated with things and they're passionate about it, but it's like they can kind of like keep it, locked down, right? They can like they're very like soft spoken because they come from a different world than I do, right? I come from a very raw, gross world of stand-up comedy and and doing comedy in basements and getting heckled and telling tourists who speak no English, they're German or they're Swedish or they're Russian or they're just idiot Americans to shut up, in New York City. So I kind of come from a little bit different of a background. So if the cursing is a problem for you, I'm sorry, but I just hope that you can pull up your pants and stop being a little bitch enough to just get with the program and understand why I'm so heated about this stuff. Because this is literally life and death, what we're talking about here. And when I hear people talk about things like the Green New Deal and we're going to give everybody free health care, and I hear numbers like $20 trillion to do this or $50 trillion or whatever the $1 trillion amount is, and not only knowing that is a ridiculous amount of money to spend on healthcare, but that's not even going to be the right amount. That's not even going to be the right amount. Whatever price tag they're putting on the Green New Deal or on Medicare for all, you have to probably multiply that by 3 or 4 or 5 because they're undercutting the severity of how of how urgent and how healthcare, how just jacked up the healthcare system is right now, and how much of a wasted piece of garbage the healthcare system is, and really everybody involved in it. And I'm sorry if you're a healthcare practitioner, you're in it, you really are just a pawn in this money wasting game. I was in that game. So let me take a step back and just kind of fill people in here on why this specific topic gets me so heated and what my own personal experience. Before I was the holistic a-hole, I was just a regular a-hole. I was just a regular Burger King loving, Marie Calendar, microwave, dinner, lunch, eating, 9 to 5 office guy. Okay. And my office job was working in the healthcare industry. I worked for a medical equipment company who we sold oxygen. We sold a lot of like breathing stuff. We sold CPAPs. I think we were probably like one of the biggest CPAP retailers in the country at the time. I'm not in the CPAP game anymore, so I couldn't tell you. I just know, we were doing CPAPs back before they were popular, and now everyone's got a freaking CPAP, and there's a lot of shenanigans in that too. But then a lot of like child healthcare stuff, apnea monitors, like real urgent like medical supplies. Like we supplied stuff to hospital rooms, right? And I worked on both sides of this. I was a collector for the company, so I would collect on people's insurance bills. And then I also worked on the front end where I was an assistant to a respiratory therapist. I was basically her secretary, and I had to do a lot of dirty work, like, scheduling her stuff and qualifying people for oxygen, and fitting people for CPAPs, and, cleaning the equipment, and just doing like a lot of this stuff. And this is where I really saw just how fucked the goddamn healthcare system is. See, I'm using the F word, okay? Again, this is big boy talk, right? We're not going to fix this unless we can talk big boy talk, okay? And if you don't like it, I'm sorry. You can go listen to the Wellness Mama. She doesn't curse. This a-hole curses, okay? And if you can't get as passionate about this shit, then nothing's going to ever change, right? So what I saw was the shenanigans on both sides, because people who don't understand this topic, they come out and they go, well, the insurance companies are evil. God damn, you literally have no idea. You have no idea how evil the insurance companies are, but you also have no idea how evil your stupid doctor is, and how even more evil their administrators are. If we're just going to throw that evil term around, let's be, let's call it like it is. Both sides are really fucking irresponsible. Okay? Because this is what happens. This is what has happened in the world of healthcare, right? In the world of Medicare. Medicare, what they do is they basically, they just kind of out of the blue decide on really like what the allowable prices are for certain services. And every year this changes. It's their fee schedule. Okay. And everything is based in what we call ICD-9 codes. And there's a whole book of ICD-9 codes, and it's their specific procedures, right? Like if you need a sleep apnea mask, like you have to have this specific code of sleep apnea. And Medicare says, well, for every diagnosis of ICD-9 sleep apnea, whatever that is, let's say it's like the code is like 410.4, and every time a doctor or a medical provider puts on their bill the code 410. What did I say? Did I say 410.4? Was that the number? Every time the provider puts 410.4 on the bill, you send that to the insurance company. The insurance company goes, well, great, we cover 410.4. The Medicare allowable for 410.4 is $100. Our agreement with Medicare or our agreement with this provider is that we pay 80% of the allowable. So we're going to pay $80 on that bill. And then they send the company the bill, and then the patient might get like a bill for $20. And if you're a patient who's done your due diligence and you're, and you've got your corners covered, maybe you have a secondary insurance that will pick up that 20%, so you're going to pay anything out of pocket, right? In the perfect world of healthcare billing, that's how that shit works. But in the real world of healthcare billing, how this works is you come to my old company and you go, I have a sleep apnea. See, I got a prescription from my doctor that says I have sleep apnea. So he sent me here. And so we go, great, you have sleep apnea. And so the respiratory therapist fits you for a mask. They give you a mask. And then we send a bill to your insurance company. But somewhere along the way, somebody in a position will not put the correct ICD-9 code on there. The correct ICD-9 code in this example is 410.4. Well, maybe they put down 410.6, which still might be sleep apnea, but it's like sleep apnea with, a jacked, cleft chin. Or some shit, right? It's like sleep apnea and, stuffy nose, or it's like sleep apnea and migraines, or sleep apnea with a goiter coming out of your neck, or sleep apnea and, you sit on your balls every time you sit down and it really hurts, or whatever it is, okay? So here's the deal. Your healthcare insurance, your health insurance does not have a contractual agreed amount to pay for 410.6. They only know 410.4. So what they do is they go, sorry, I bet that the sleep apnea in combination with sitting on your balls and it really hurting has got to be very inconvenient. Unfortunately, we don't allow that. We don't have an agreement to pay for that. So we're going to have to deny this claim. And then what they do is they send denial explanation of benefits to both the healthcare provider, which is yours truly, and they send one to you. And you as the patient, you get a bill, maybe 20, 30 days later, you're like, why do I have a bill right now? I thought I had insurance. And then you call us, you go, or you call your insurance, you're like, why didn't the insurance cover it? And they're like, well, we don't cover what you got. And you're like, I had sleep apnea. And they're like, yeah, but your bill says sleep apnea was sitting on your balls and it hurts too much. So we don't cover sleep apnea was sitting on your balls and it hurts too much. Well, I don't have sleep apnea and sitting on my balls hurts so much. I just have sleep apnea. Oh, well, your doctor billed us for sleep apnea and it hurts when you sit on your balls. So that's why we don't pay for that. We have nowhere in our fee schedule that covers anything about, sleep apnea sitting on your balls. Now we have a code that covers you just for sitting on your balls and it hurting too much, and we'll cover that, but we don't cover sleep apnea and sitting on your balls and it hurts too much. And so you as the patient now, you're on the hook for that money because your insurance company said, we're not going to pay for that. They're well within their right to not pay for it because your stupid doctor billed it wrong. Now, you as the patient, you're not educated on this. You don't know what this is about. But this is why doctors' offices have to pay so much for administration. Because back in the day when, doctors were working out of little offices and, they didn't, and people weren't as sick as they are today, there might have been a time where a doctor could handle the billing and the practice of medicine together. But nowadays they can't. So they need to spend a lot of money on people to do the billing, right? That's why if you don't have a job and you're sitting at home watching Maury or, whatever people watch during the daytime, and there's like, lawyer commercials that come on, hey, did you get in a drunk driving accident? Call Johnson, Stern, and Berkowitz. We'll cover your bill. And then the next commercial is, hey, are you a loser sitting on your couch, smoking weed, eating Cocoa Puffs, and you need a job? Well, medical billing is hiring. Yeah, of course they are, because everybody needs medical billers, because it's such an easy job to do, yet people fuck it up. It's just literally the dumbest people. And I'm not like saying that, facetiously. I'm not saying that like hyperbole. I'm saying that, hyperbole. I'm saying that like it is literally the dumbest. They find the dumbest people and pay them the least amount they can. And it's one of the most important jobs that is so responsible for fucking people left and right. It can't get done. Okay, so this is my background with healthcare. I was that dude who had to collect that bill and basically go back and make the code right and use like documentation and all this stuff to send it to the insurance company. My job was to go to insurance companies and make them pay your bill, right? Because they didn't want to pay your bill. They wanted to send the whole thing about insurance is they get the bill and they don't pay it. This is why insurance companies make a lot of money. They are in the job of denial, not coverage. No matter, how much you love the dude in the State Farm commercial or the Allstate commercial, right? No matter how much you love these people. Their job is to not pay your medical bills. Okay. And so I worked on that end, and then I worked on the other end, which is the end I want to talk about today, which is the end of basically selling people into stuff they didn't need to build the just fucking bottomless pit of money that is Medicare, and make the company I work for more money. I mean, that's basically all it is. You understand that when you're a doctor, you now have a lot of power. When you're a healthcare provider, you have a lot of power. And, you have the power of not only being, having one of the most, I would say, difficult and prestigious educations of anybody who, of any student in the country. But you also have the power to really manipulate people and to really, kind of control what people think about themselves, because people don't know. They don't know healthcare. They don't know their own health. Most people don't know their own health. Most people are very confused and very uneducated when it comes to health. They don't know. They don't know why they're so tired. They don't know why they keep getting sick. They don't know why they're constantly nauseous. They don't know why they get migraines. They don't know why they can't get out of bed. They don't know why they're depressed. They just know they are. And really, anything your doctor tells you, you're going to believe. So when your doctor says you need, a specific procedure, or you need a specific, piece of equipment, or you need a breathing device, or you need a medication, you as the patient are like, well, yeah, obviously I need that. Why, like, you're the doctor. You know so much more than me. Why would I ever question you? Okay. And this is the problem at the heart of the medical system, okay? As much as insurance companies are guilty of a lot of shenanigans, like I just said, of basically collecting money and not paying your bills, really the root problem of the healthcare industry comes from the provider side. Nobody's blaming the doctors. Nobody's coming after the doctors. It's all the insurance companies. You listen to Bernie Sanders, you listen to Elizabeth Warren, you listen to these politicians, talking about healthcare, and they just have no idea what they're talking about. We need to give Medicare to everybody. No. You're not giving Medicare to everybody. You're giving Medicaid to everybody. You're basically saying everybody can go to a doctor and just get the care they need. Well, guess what? There's a lot of sick people. There's a lot of sick people who aren't going to the doctors because they don't have the insurance, so they know it's going to cost a lot. But as soon as you give them the money, they're all going to the doctor. So you better believe the doctor is going to be totally overtaxed as far as his or her capacity to A, deal with people, and really B, give you the care you need. Right now in America, in the medical system, doctors only have 15 minutes to see you. 15 minutes, they have to diagnose a problem and give you a prescription for something. Okay? That is what this is, okay? That's what this podcast is about today. This is actually called defensive medicine, right? There's actually a name for it, because this is the practice of what medicine is. I call it sick care, but it's called defensive medicine, because basically what doctors have to do is they have to make sure that you leave their office every single time with a prescription, okay? Or with some kind of plan to put this together. So, basically what is happening right now is people are going to the doctor and they're sick. And, as a holistic practitioner, I look at that and I go, well, there's a million reasons why you're sick. There's a lot of foundational stuff, but there's a lot of different things going together. It's not just one problem. And what people want is they want the turnkey solution. Like, just give me the pill that makes me feel better. And yeah, there is a pill out there that will make you feel better, but that pill comes with a lot of side effects. But as a doctor doesn't have time to dig into what's really going on with you. They have to get you in and out, because they got a waiting room full of people. And when we say everybody has health insurance now, that fucking that waiting room is going to is going to multiply by a lot. There's going to be a lot of multiples of people in there that need to see. Do you think a doctor wants to work more to see more people? Do you really believe that your doctor wants to just take on more patients and work more hours? Do you think your doctor wants to work on Saturday or Sunday? Do you think your doctor wants to work past 5? Probably not. And do you know how effective you are at your job when you have to work more than the allotted time that you work? Is any of us better at our job when we work more than 40 hours? Is any of us better at our jobs when we have to work, a 12, 13, 14-hour days? There are tons of horror stories, by the way, of surgeons who, in their residency, like they have a new rule that says a surgeon can't work more than 80 hours. I think this was in the Affordable Care Act, where surgeons can't work more than 80 hours. Before that, they were working insane hours, 120 hours a week. Is that even possible? Doctors were doing it. I was listening to a Peter Attia podcast, and this dude was talking about how he literally fell asleep during a surgery. And lucky for him, didn't fucking slice open a person's gallbladder. This is what's happening in healthcare, is the doctors now are totally overtaxed, and they're not making good decisions. And in order to keep the system going, they have to give their patients an order, a prescription, something for them to leave with, to make them think like, oh, my doctor's he's actually working, okay? And that's what this defensive medicine is all about, This is the problem, okay? This is the problem, right? So much of our healthcare system is just wasted. It's just wasted money, right? This isn't about the insurance companies. The insurance companies are denying claims because doctors' offices aren't, they're not billing correctly, and it's well within their right to do that. Yeah, there's a lot of shenanigans in Medicare with this, fee schedule and these lobbyists affecting, what is what is the market? There is no market rate for what a CPAP or a tank of oxygen should go for. Medicare can just keep bumping up their rates, and what's going to happen is the doctor's offices are going to bump up their rates. If Medicare says we're going to allow, $700 for a CPAP mask, the doctor's office is going to say, well, we're going to charge, we're going to charge $1,000 so we can get more of that $700 because they're getting a percentage, and it just goes higher and higher and higher. So, just some kind of, research on this, just so you guys don't think I'm just like, spouting this out the back of my asshole. There was a study that came out, I believe is in 2015, 2013, 2017, one of those 20s, and this was done by the, son of a gun. Who did this study? This was the Institute of Medicine. And basically what they found was that 20% of all medical care, this is like getting into, I believe, the hundreds of billions of dollars, close to $500 billion of medical care was just totally unnecessary. Totally unnecessary. Just costs, This is like if you're trying to kind of wrap your head around how does that happen? This is like stuff where, your doctor is telling you that you need to have your gallbladder removed, which is one of the top surgeries, might even be the top surgery in the country right now, or just kind of like what would you call it, like preventative care procedures, or just kind of routine procedures that they do. They're just telling people, well, you get your gallbladder removed, or people are going in and asking for their gallbladder to be removed, right? The doctor is, you're dealing with gallbladder stones, or you're dealing with, congested liver, or, you just have pain in your body, or you're just not feeling well overall. And it typically could be a problem with your gallbladder. It could be a problem with your liver. It's probably a problem with your digestion. There are holistic, natural ways to fix your gallbladder, to make it work better. It's not easy. It takes work, but it doesn't require somebody to cut you open and pull it out of you. But instead, doctors are saying, no, we'll do this routine gallbladder surgery. I think it's called a cholecystectomy or something like that. And it takes like, I don't know, half hour to do. And we'll rip it out, and you could live without a gallbladder. And people are going, yeah, I don't want this pain anymore, so give me the gallbladder surgery. And now, look, there are some doctors out there that are telling their patients, they're like, look, you should keep your gallbladder, right? Because there are patients who, doctors are, will say that are higher risk. They're a higher risk patient. Typically it's because of weight, it's because of lifestyle. Some people just don't do well in surgery. Some people go under the knife, and I mean, you could experience serious complications if you've been a smoker your whole life. If you're overweight, there are instruments they use that sometimes, like your certain body type, the instruments just won't work. It'd be nice to think like, oh, like everybody should be able to get this surgery. This is like we're all created equal. We're all created in God's image. Everybody's equal. Nobody's better than anybody. Why can't I get that surgery? Well, your disgusting body can't actually, support the physical procedure of a doctor cutting you open and removing a very important organ in your body. So some doctors will tell patients like, oh, I can't do it. And then some patients will be very insistent on it. Some patients will say, look, my neighbor got his gallbladder removed. He's feeling great, so I want my gallbladder removed. And they'll literally strong-arm the doctor into giving them the procedure. And then some doctors will strong-arm their patients into getting the procedure. They'll be like, look, you need the gallbladder surgery. That's the only way for your gallbladder to get better. Oh, don't worry about, eating healthy fats and releasing cholecystokinin and actually releasing bile out of your gallbladder. Don't worry about like eating beets, or taking more vitamin C, all of which are shown to thin the bile to make your gallbladder work better. Never mind about detoxification or healing the gut. Never mind that stuff. Let's just rip that motherfucker out of you. And so this is a reason why you get an insane amount of money. It's not even like that severe. You have colonoscopies. Colonoscopies are another like routine procedure that that people just do. Yes, they're good for identifying problems with your colon, problems in the gut, but at the same time, they're a little overused, and they can cause some complications. I mean, sometimes those colonoscopies, like those little cameras go in you, and they rip shit open in your colon. They rip shit open in your intestines. There was another study, speaking of colonoscopies, that came out that was put on by the JAMA, was it Journal of American Medical Association, one of the biggest medical journals out there. They said 23.5% of Medicare patients who had negative findings at their colonoscopy screening underwent another screening examination less than 7 years later. And that's a problem because colonoscopies repeated within 10 years after negative screening results represents an overuse based on current guidelines. So they're just cranking these colonoscopies in people completely against whatever the reasonable guideline is that was set for that procedure. We shouldn't be giving this many colonoscopies to people, but they're like, yeah, we need more colonoscopies. Sometimes it's down to just the instruments, right? So surgeons are a big part of this too, okay? Surgeons have to make money. Surgeons are salespeople. Surgeons need to cut you to stay in business. You understand that, right? And we all don't need to be cut. And so a lot of times what happens is the surgeons have, the tools they use. They have the knives. They have the little, pieces that they use to prop stuff up, right? They got little balloons and shit they put in to like move organs out of the way while they're in there. They got clamps. They got scissors. They got all these different things, okay? And that shit's not cheap. And you're the one who gets charged for that every time a surgeon has to use that stuff or goes on your bill, okay? Now, you might have a surgeon who's been using like a very specific pair of scissors or whatever to cut people open for years, right? And these scissors, they cost maybe 32 cents to make in China. They sell for maybe $5, right, on the market. But then all of a sudden now there's this like surgeon scissor company that comes out, and they're selling that shit for $300. And they get contracts with hospitals. And now hospitals are supplying these crazy, scissors that cost 30 cents to make that are now $300. And they're making your surgeons use that shit. So now you're getting charged not just what the normal cost of the surgery is. Now you're getting charged for upgraded supplies that you didn't even know were part of the deal in the first place. So what could be, a bill for a couple grand ends up being a bill for like 10 grand, 15 grand, 20 grand. This is part of the wasteful spending in the healthcare industry. It has nothing to do with insurance. This is on your physician's side. This is the decisions that your surgeon makes, right? His cost for those scissors might be nothing, but he's going to charge you an insane amount because he used them. Or maybe he didn't do it. Maybe it was the hospital that he works for. This is part of the wasteful spending that's happening. Medicare for All isn't going to fix this. This is going to tax the fuck out of Medicare for All. Because I promise you, these companies that sell this medical equipment, they're not lowering their prices. They're not going out of business. They're going to do everything they can to stay in business. They've got shareholders. They've got people that they need to make money for. They're not going to just stop being in business because now everybody has Medicare. That cost is going to get passed on to us. It's going to get passed on to us, man. There was an evaluation of Romney Care, right? Because, Romney Care is like the gold standard of what free healthcare is supposed to be. And in June of 2011, in the Boston Globe, no less, they reported that, Romney Care, when it was rolled out in 2006, actually initially cost $33 million. So that, that's no small bill. Right? But to insure everybody, there you go. $33 million. People in Boston were all about it. By 2011, the cost went up to $406 million. And altogether, in 2011, $2.1 billion had been spent on Romney Care. It comprises more than 40% of the state's budget, and it's expected to be 50% by 2020. 50%, dude. That's Romney Care. That's just Massachusetts. Think about when they do that shit for the whole country. The whole country. $33 million. $33 million to billions of dollars. That's what I'm telling you right now. If they roll out Medicare for All, you have to believe that whatever the price tag they're putting on that, it's going to be at least probably 3 or 4 times more than that. I mean, it's going to be the point where your taxes are going to be so high to cover expenses in the healthcare industry. I don't know how anybody's going to have any kind of prosperity. How is anybody going to have any money here? There's a very interesting book I read called Overdosed. I don't have the dude's name in front of me here who wrote it, but it's a great book talking about, kind of like, exactly what it says, the overdosing of patients in this country. It's by a guy named John Abramson. And, he made a very interesting observation because he was a former general practitioner. He was like a family doctor. And he was talking about this idea that direct-to-consumer medication. So I've sat here for the last, 30 minutes and railed against, the doctors and the insurance companies. Well, there's another problem out there, and that is the direct-to-consumer advertising for medication, okay? Because this is what medication is. Medication's a business. So a lot of times, not only is money being wasted because surgeons are selling people on surgeries, healthcare providers are selling people on medical equipment they may or may not need. This is what I did when I was convincing people based on some crazy Medicare rule about a level of a pulse oximeter that if you hit this number, you have to have oxygen whether you want it or not. I would say more than half of the people I gave oxygen to, by the way, didn't even use it. In fact, they had it in their homes and they continued smoking with oxygen in their homes. People would smoke cigarettes with oxygen on their faces. I mean, the only next step to that would be just lighting yourself on fire. I mean, that's basically what you're essentially trying to do. You're trying to light yourself on fire, okay? But now what you also have is, because like all of these, pharmaceutical commercials that come on, people see the guy, using what is it, Celebrex, or whatever the medication is. I quit smoking with Celebrex, and now he's rowing in a boat and he's going to get pizza with his girlfriend, and they're like, I want to row in a boat and get pizza too. So now they go to their doctor and I want Celebrex. Your doctor's like, I don't think you need Celebrex. They're like, no, fuck that. I want to row a boat and eat pizza with my fine lady. Give me some Celebrex. And your doctor is like, well, I can't make you not happy. This is a business. Customer's always right, so I got to get you some Celebrex. And this is what's happening all across the spectrum of medication. People are seeing the commercials and they're demanding out of their doctor to give them the medication, sometimes against the doctor's better judgment, which is really fucking crazy, because the doctor's the authority. The doctor's supposed to know. Not only do the doctors not know, they're being educated by, some bro-y, frat sorority, person with frosted tips and, big fake titties on what these pharmaceuticals do in the first place. They're the ones who coach the doctors on what these pharmaceuticals are. They're the ones who present the studies. They interpret studies, peer-reviewed, observational studies, double-blind placebo, which they're not. They're the ones interpreting studies for doctors who went to medical school. Kappa Sigs, Alpha Omegas, Theta Chi. They're the ones who are teaching doctors about medical studies and telling them how to prescribe their medication. And then people see the guy row the boat and play basketball with his friends, go to a movie with his best girl, toss his kid up in the air, and they're like, I want Celebrex. And the doctor's like, yeah, you're the customer. You're always right. And then people get hooked on this shit. Then they have the side effects. Then they go in. They're like, why is my dick not working? Well, first of all, you're a woman. You don't have a dick. Well, I want a dick. Okay, woman, I prescribe a dick. You can have a dick. Thank you, doc. Then they start pumping them full of all these hormones. Then they got more problems. I'm depressed now. Well, yeah, that's what the dick medication does to you. Well, I don't want to be depressed anymore. Well, here's some, antidepressant. Here's some fucking, what is it? Xanax, Paxil, whatever the Klonopin, whatever the antidepressant is, the SSRI. Great, thanks. Doc, I'm back. I feel terrible. I thought I was on an antidepressant. Well, that's one of the side effects of the antidepressant. Antidepressant actually makes you not only sadder, it makes you suicidal. Because it's an antidepressant. It's not supposed to work. So we got to double the dose to make it work twice as much as it doesn't work in the first place. This is the fucking cycle. It's never going to end. It's never going to end with more healthcare. We have over healthcared people. This is what's going on, dude. Oh, and by the way, I was trying to quote this study. 30% of healthcare spending in 2009. This was in 2009. $750 billion was wasted on unnecessary services, excessive administrative costs, fraud, and other problems. This is by the Institute of Medicine. $130 billion of it was on higher procedures like surgeries and operations. So they're just like convincing people to let them cut them open for things that they don't even need to do. Hysterectomies, that's another one. Women are getting their ovaries taken out, which is, I mean, damn, if there's like, for a woman, a surgery that has to be like, I mean, just emotionally devastating. I mean, emotionally and physiologically, biologically, I mean, it's got to be the hysterectomy, taking away just your ability to ever make another human. I mean, talk about just like a bummer for a woman, Also, I mean, now your fucking hormones are going to go just absolutely berserk. I mean, if you're not emotional enough, I mean, think about like the one of the organs that helps, kind of manage your estrogen and your FSH and your thyroid and all this stuff. I mean, Jesus Christ, dude. And doctors are like, yeah, we got to take your shit out. You got to get a hysterectomy. That's another huge one. Wasted money, dude. Wasted money for defensive medicine. I don't see that going anywhere, because the reason people want free healthcare is because people like Bernie Sanders walk around and they go, well, people are dying because they don't have healthcare. 90% of people who died because they didn't have enough healthcare. 30 million people in this country don't have healthcare. They don't have access to healthcare. So we need to give them more healthcare. And that's not the problem. The problem is just the whole comprehensive system. Just the fact that, people don't want to eat healthy. People don't want to exercise. People are being poisoned by the water, the food. Okay, are we going to do healthcare? Are we going to make cigarettes illegal? Because that's a huge problem. Are we going to make, they're coming out with a fucking vegan Whopper? Oh my God, dude. At least the Whopper had one redeeming quality, which is you get like some beef with some B vitamins and, and fat and, carnitine. Now we're just going to pump people full of wheat and soy in a burger. Could there be anything worse to put in your body? Yeah, probably oil they fry it on. Oh, but everybody's got to have free healthcare. Okay, but we're not going to shut down Burger King. We're not going to shut down Marlboro. People can still go get booze. People can still drink soda. Do you see where these equations they don't add up? Where's Bernie Sanders going? Hundreds of millions of people die because they're drinking too many sodas. They don't have access to clean water. They don't have access to clean air. They don't have access to not stuffing themselves full of Big Macs. Unfortunately, I've yet to hear that come from Bernie Sanders' mouth or Elizabeth Warren's mouth or AOC or even Trump. They don't know what they're talking about. They don't know. They're just blame the insurance companies. Look, dude, the system's set up so the insurance companies can do their thing. It's fucked up. If you just let this shit be free market, if you get these corrupt lobbyists out of here, stop letting the medical equipment companies have so much power over things. If you let them actually compete, I promise you, an insurance company will come along and they'll say, look, we will insure everybody who does CrossFit. We'll insure everybody who eats 50 apples a month. We'll insure. I mean, I know there's insurance companies that insure vegans, which is, hey, whatever you say, fine. You got your market. That's a market maker. But instead what we got is a monopoly of Blue Cross and United Healthcare and Kaiser Permanente and these big insurance companies, right? Let there be free market. Let little guys come in and go, look, anybody who wants us to cover you, the only stipulation is you can't smoke cigarettes. You can't eat Big Macs. You gotta do some exercise, and you can be in this insurance plan. Okay, cool. Buy into that shit. And then they make little networks, and they're like, we network with doctors who don't have big practices. And then they compete with each other. You don't have government come in and try to fix this stuff. It's just crazy, man. It's just crazy. So, you can see I get heated about this topic because it's so misunderstood and it's so misrepresented in the mainstream. I don't know if the majority of people think like that, genuinely think everything's because of the insurance companies. I don't know. I know there's a lot of people who are a little smarter than that. But at the same time, I have to tell you a-holes about this because, we have to get on the same page here. We have to really understand what's going on. And listen, I know you're an a-hole, and I know you are doing what you can, and you have to be strong, right? Because you'll go out with your friends and be like, why are you eating a salad? Why are you drinking water? Why don't you drink? Just drink with us. Why are you drinking water? Because I don't want to be part of the problem, you fucking asshole. because I don't want to be part of, this Green New Deal that's going to literally physically bankrupt the country and everything we're about. I have to do my part to keep my own costs low, because I don't want to have to rely on a doctor telling me I got to get my gallbladder removed or my ovaries taken out or have a camera cranked into my butthole. I'm going to actually take care of myself. And you shouldn't be ashamed of that shit. You should be strong and fucking, stand in your power and step up and just know that you're a powerful person. And you have to be, because it's literally life and death. And that's how I'm going to end it. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. I tell you, man, I came in with some fire today. I came in just breathing fire because I believe in this shit. And sometimes I get a little down. I'm like, why am I doing this? Like I've basically ostracized myself out of like a life I used to love and cherish, which was like going out and getting fucked up and eating like shit and sleeping, going to sleep at 4 a.m. and waking up at noon and, not getting natural sunlight and just living this life of just reckless health. Why do I find it so important to be a holistic a-hole? Because I don't want to be part of the problem. That's why. And I don't want you guys to be part of the problem. I want you guys to stand in your power and to make the difference, because it's infectious too. That's why I come on here and do this. That's why I'm a health coach. That's why I do whatever I can to work with people. People have such insane, complicated health problems. It's crazy. It's crazy the things that I'm seeing with people, that it's like this bad. And it's like, it doesn't matter. It's not vegan. It's not keto. It's not whatever, health trend. It's just a general, just buildup of life, of living just day to day, just not being informed of the right shit to do. And then just having this fallback of, I got a doctor. My doctor will take care of it. So let me know what you think. If you enjoyed this podcast, please take a screenshot, put it in your Instagram story or put it on your Instagram feed, tag me at Holistic A-Hole. I'll give you a shout out. If you love it, please, I can't emphasize this enough, go on to iTunes, leave a 5-star review, put a nice little comment in there. Join one of my groups on Facebook, the Holistic A-Holes Facebook group, Bro Health in the Facebook group. Or you can just email me, holistic.a.hole@gmail.com. Let me know what you think of the podcast. I really appreciate you guys' time. If you're new here, remember to subscribe and, take some time, take a little Holistic A-Hole binge, listen to some previous episodes, get yourself caught up, and keep listening, because I'm coming back at you with a new one, probably next week, maybe this week, who knows. But I will catch you on the next one. Thank you all for listening. Take care. Peace.